Oh, okay, it didn't show it again. I didn't know what was going to happen there. Because I honestly had no clue this game was going to show more, if it was going to quit there. Ooh, we're back in our room? Huh. Well, what scene is this? Storage space? Storage space. The sunlight breaks through my window shortly before my alarm ruins the morning silence. I feel sore. The events of the previous evening suddenly intrude upon my consciousness, and I find myself blushing. That was an eventful evening, and explains perfectly the soreness in my lower back. The walk back, as I recall, had been rather tense. My trousers had been soiled, and I had washed them off in the bathroom before going back to my room, but there was still a fairly obvious-looking stain on the front. Fortunately for me, the only person I ran into on my way back was Kenji, and he didn't notice a thing. Yeah, I wonder why. Well, apart from my being in the general vicinity. Of course, he'd asked how the night went and whether or not I'd learned anything of importance. I don't even know if I opened my mouth to answer. I was too tired to care, and this morning I'll admit that I'm feeling pretty worn out. Still, Emi had promised to meet me at the track, and I'd hate to disappoint. She's indeed waiting for me when I arrive, doing her best to look cheery despite the fact that she's sitting in a wheelchair. I wave to her and begin stretching. You're early. Emi frowns and shakes her head. Ridiculous. You're late. Overslept, Sal? All tuckered out? I wonder what would cause that. Well, at least she seems more like her old self. And as expected, she doesn't seem that shy about mentioning our previous activities. Hey, you're lucky I could show up at all. All that cardiovascular activity last night, I nearly thought I'd have to see the nurse afterwards. Emi laughs out loud and her face suddenly becomes concerned. Hey, that's not, I mean, you're not. Go on, spit it out. It's just that it would be hard to explain if you had an episode while we were... Oh. Now that she mentions it, it really is a legitimate concern. I certainly hadn't thought of it last night, of course. Other, more pressing concerns had been at hand. Well, I don't think anything we do is going to be any more of a strain than these morning runs, and I handle those fine, so... Emmy considers this point. A devious light appears in her eyes. Oh no. Say. The light vanishes and he grins ruefully at me. I can't help but feel vaguely suspicious. I think I've forgotten a pair of gloves. What do you need gloves for? And it indicates the chair upon which she is seated. For this, of course. Sure, regular moving around is all well and good without them, but I want to be able to get a good workout. And to get that kind of speed, you gotta have gloves if you don't want blisters. So what, are you pushing out on me then? Do I have to go it alone? Amy thinks for a minute, or pretends to think she wants us to push her. If I remember right, there's a spare or two in the track shed. So she does seriously want to do it then. But in her normal score uniform, I had expected her to wear her gym outfit for something like this. Wait, what are they doing there? Amy looks askance at me. What is a stance? I'm gonna go look. Askance. Okay, askance with an attitude or look of suspicion or disapproval. Seriously? You can't think of why a shed full of track supplies at school for the disabled would have racing gloves? Well, when she puts it that way, I suppose that makes perfect sense. Hey, I'm still getting used to this place. Give me a break, huh? I guess I can let it slide this time. Now come on, I'll need your help. I can't imagine what for, but then again I didn't have a clue why racing gloves would be in the shed, so I'm not willing to press the issue. Emmy navigates her way to the shed easily enough, though I can hear her grumbling under her breath. It's actually kinda cute. I hurry a little to reach the door first, opening it will be easier for me than for her. The door opens and Emmy starts to wheel inside, only to come to a sudden halt at the doorway. It seems the door sill is slightly too high for her to get over by herself. She makes a few runs at it unsuccessfully before crossing her eyes and glaring at the offending object. Yeah, it's... she's blaming it on the object. Stupid wheelchair. Sal, can you give me a hand here? Sure, no problem. It's a simple enough matter for me to bump Emmy over the doorway, jostling her slightly. Hey, easy there. Whoops, sorry. It's at about this time that I fail to notice where I'm going and run Emmy's chair into a mat. She gives a startled yelp and topples forward out of her chair. There's a moment of silence as I gaze in horror upon what I've done, and Emmy glares at me. Sal, yes? Promise you'll never work at a hospital. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Emmy giggles and holds up a hand. Would you kindly help me back into my chair, Sal? As I bend down to pick Emmy up, she grins in triumph and pulls me into a kiss that quickly has us both entirely unconcerned about getting her back into the chair. They're not doing it again, are they? In fact, as I move to a more comfortable position, I confess that the chair is pushed out the door, which, startled by the passage, swings shut. Well, at least we've got privacy now, which is a good thing as my hands work quickly to remove Emmy's blouse and skirt. Jesus. I've started to discover that she's forgotten to put her bra on today. Did she plan this? Her arm hook under mine and rests on my shoulder as I kiss my way down Emi's neck, pausing to give special attention to a spot right where the neck meets the shoulder that I had found last night. You've gotten pretty good at that. I do try. Emi pushes on my chest insistently, and I draw back with a puzzled expression. I've got a confession, Hisao. Oh? Having rolled back, I decide to focus my attention on her breath. As she does to speak, her words are interspersed with giggles I find incredibly cute. I don't actually, whoa, wear gloves. My own reply is rather mumbled onto her chest instead of being addressed to her face. Should have known. Words quickly become irrelevant. Emi's movements are almost frantic as she's been holding something back since we met this morning, and now she has an outlet. I'm very nearly caught off guard by her aggressiveness, feeling her nearly rip my shirt off, the way she seems to vie to be in the dominant position. For my part, I confess that I'm caught up in her attitude as well, fighting back, rolling or wrestling even as I caress her breast, even as her fingers dig into my shoulders, and I lose track of where we are. So much that I roll right off the mat and land on something small and rather hard. Ow! Emi, still flushed and breathing a little heavily, peers at me and bursts into laughter. I'm sorry, are you alright? Yeah, I think so. Not sure what I landed on, though. I reach under my back and pull the offending object out, inspecting it closely. Personal lubricant, lemon flavored. Wait, what? Why is that here? Emi's eyes shoot over and she begins, if possible, to laugh even harder. Somehow, I don't think this isn't track related. Oh man, I know whose that is. What? It's the track captain's. My old nemesis, or kind of. How do you know it's his? It appears I have asked a stupid question, or at least Emi thinks so. Because he's the one who told me the track show was a good place for, what did he call them? Clandestine encounters? Clandestine? Who speaks like that anymore? I kinda know what it means. Yeah, kept secret, done secretly, officially because illicit. Oh, he invite you to one or something? Emi bursts into more laughter. I confess the sight of a naked Emi laughing is oddly beautiful. I feel an eagerness to end conversation and get back to what we were doing despite my rather pointed questioning. That's how the track captain's gay. Huh? Really? And here I initially thought you two were a couple. Well, I did have a crush on him when I first joined up, but he wasn't interested. Obviously. But we are good friends, I guess. I mean, he told me about all this, you know. I hesitate to ask, and really I do, but I ask anyway. What does he need the lube for anyway? I mean, he doesn't, how the hell does Emi always manage to not blush? Obviously he uses it for, you know, anal. Oh, I try to suppress a snicker. I fail. Emi's giggling too. And he tells you about all this? Emi shrugs. Yeah, of course. He's kinda wild about the whole thing. Says it's a feeling that can't be beat. Uh-huh. The air in the track shed seems charged with some kind of horrible curiosity. That's interesting. I suppose I'll have to take his word for it. Well, birds outside stop chirping. The wind dies down. Somewhere, a man is drinking a cup of coffee. He freezes with a cup of his lips. How would you know this? We could. Oh no. Maybe. Try it. That would hurt, wouldn't it? My jaw suddenly spontaneously unhinges and hits the floor. What? Emi's finally blushing, rubbing the back of her head ruefully. Well, it's just that we really can't do what we did last night, you know? It wouldn't be safe, you know? I mean, it wasn't exactly a great idea last night. Oh. So, you know, we could try this to see if it, is as good? Well, yeah, basically. Huh. Jesus. Oh, God. Careful. Are you sure about this? I'm positioned behind Emi. He's looking back over his shoulder, looking a little flushed. This doesn't seem like it's going to go well. Well, obviously, once we decided to go ahead with this idea, we had to get back into the mood. That accomplished, we emptied the bottle of lube, and here we are. Yes, I'm sure. Come on, before I calm down and think too much about this. Emi's breathing is still coming a little heavily, and her response is almost impatient. Which is to be expected, I suppose. We were both so close, and this is kind of delaying things. I think we've both gone temporarily insane. At least that's going to be my claim from here on out. I try hard not to think about the specifics of what I'm getting myself into. There's no way this is going to be very clean. Taking a breath as much for me as it is for her, I enter slowly. There's a lot of resistance, and it's like both our bodies are reluctant to actually go through with it. Emi's whole body tenses, and as I'm only partially in by this point, it feels surprisingly good, if a bit odd. Emi, on the other hand, looks uncomfortable. The expression is almost comical. Her face doesn't look comical. That looks painful. Should I stop? Emi's breath hitches in her throat, and it seems to take a few seconds longer than it should to formulate the reply. No, keep going. It just feels weird. She giggles. I can't blame her. I'm surprised that I even managed to form a sentence. It's hot. Feels exceedingly odd. The lube glistens unnaturally. It makes me uncomfortable. I continue to work my way inside her, working slowly and listening carefully to Emi's breathing. I reach my limit and pause. Emi looks back again, biting her lower lip. Are you going to try moving, or are we just going to sit here feeling silly? No, I just wanted to give you a chance to adjust. This doesn't make any sense. How did we even decide to do this? Yeah, this seems like a bad idea. I don't think there's really any adjusting to this, Sal. Try moving. Maybe it'll feel better. She sounds doubtful, but certainly unwilling to admit defeat now that we've come so far. I begin a slow motion that seems to work well for both myself and Emi, as she closes her eyes in an attempt to concentrate on this new feeling. How would I even see her eyes to know they are closed? As I begin to find the rhythm, I begin to feel that familiar falling away sensation I got yesterday. I close my eyes and try to lose myself in the feeling, except it doesn't seem right. Emi's not making any noise. I learned very quickly yesterday that Emi is somewhat less than quiet when she's enjoying herself. As I open my eyes, I see that Emi's trying to get into things, but it just doesn't seem to be working for her. Her eyes are closed and she's biting her lip, but it seems to be out of toleration rather than enjoyment. A sort of, well, this was a failure, but hopefully it'll be over soon. Look, I'm caught in a bit of a situation here. In truth, I don't want to stop, but at the same time, it doesn't seem to be doing much for Emi. Or if it is, it's coming on far slower than I am. I feel bad. I want Emi to enjoy this, too. I reach one arm around to tease at Emi's chest, which startles her. This in turn causes her to tighten around me considerably, causing a wave of pleasure to blindside me. My gasp seems to amuse Emi, but her grin quickly turns to a gasp as I move my other hand casually down her front and begin to stroke gently at the soft patch of hair between her legs. The motion of my own hips increases as my hand's ministrations to Emi's front brings back the gasps and yelps that I'm used to. Ministrations? Do I want to know what that means? The provision of assistance or care, or the service of a minister or religion or of a religious institution.
Administration.
Okay. This is weird. I concentrate only on the feelings of my hands, one now slick and sliding, the other on skin soft and responsive, goosebumps on her flesh, shivers and sweats as her own building climax causes her to tighten, until finally I can't possibly... No, I can't possibly... Oh my god, I'm sorry, Emi, I'm going to. I give a final thrust, my fingers tense around Emi's nipples, dive between her legs. Oh god. Emi's back spasms as she arches up, a high girlish cry that echoes off the walls, and I feel the wave of my own climax annihilate all other sensations in my body. Emi's arms give out and she falls forward, rather violently disengaging us and pulling something dear to me in the process. The sudden switch from pleasure to pain causes me to lose my balance, and I fall forward on top of Emi. Ow. Ow. I quickly roll off of Emi and prop myself up, breathing heavily and trying to ignore the pain in my crotch. Emi yelps a little as she rolls over. She grabs a couple of the tissues we'd kept handy earlier and cleans up before getting her panties back on, awkwardly leaning against the wall. Still breathing heavily, I decide to sit against the wall next to her. The feeling of the cool concrete against my spongy back is a welcome sensation. That hurt at the end. Yeah, this is probably not a great idea. Emi squirms wanted to try and sit down beside me without too much pain. Judging by her wincing, it doesn't really work. Yeah, I'm gonna have words with the captain. He was clearly lying. The utter and absolute ridiculousness of the situation suddenly hits, and I begin laughing. Emi shakes her head and begins laughing with me. Hey, Sal. Yeah? We're never doing this again, right? Yeah, I think my curiosity is satisfied on this one. Emi nods, satisfied. Didn't sound fun. Good. I think we should maybe stick to the basics, don't you? I mean, most of this is new to me anyway. What do you mean, most? Emi grins impishly. I'll never tell. An unpleasant thought strikes me. Even more unpleasant thought of having to ask Emi about it. Still, after what we've just done, it should be a cakewalk. Hey, is there a sink? I'd kind of like to, wash off a little. Emi's jaw drops. In the sink? Well, there's not really anywhere else to do it, is there? And I want to avoid a smell that the nurse might notice. This is the most awkward conversation I have ever had. You're right. Yeah, there's it's on the back wall. There might be some soap too. Thanks. There is in fact a little hand soap, which is better than nothing. No towel though. Guess I'll just have to drip dry. All finished? Yeah, that'll do for now. It's not like I'm going to take a shower after we see the nurse. Glad to hear it. Now help me find my clothes. You tossed them somewhere. Wait, what? Oh, thank God that censors that on its own. It's not like I'm not going to take a shower after we see the nurse. Okay, I read that wrong. Now help me find my clothes. You tossed them somewhere. Hey, you were no better. How am I supposed to explain that hole in my shirt, sorry, I got a little excited earlier. It takes some time, but finally we're more or less closed. There's a frantic moment where neither of us knows where their Emi's wheelchair is, but I recall it going through the door and rescue it. Now, be more careful going through the door this time, would you? Bumps are not my friend right now. I'm so sorry we tried this. Emi shrugs and grins. Well, it was worth a shot, right? And anyway, it was good exercise, right? If you say so, can't argue that. As we make our way up to the nurse's office, I notice that Emi keeps shifting uncomfortably in her seat. God, this feels weird. Good thing I'm in a wheelchair, Hisao. Why is that? Because now I don't have to explain to the nurse why I'm walking funny. Oh, we're never doing this again. The nurse is at least kind enough to not comment on the marks that Emi left on my shoulders. Nor does he say a word about Emi's constant shifting in her wheelchair. Either he didn't notice or he didn't want to notice. All the same, I'm going to have to make sure he didn't slip cyanide on my medication for a little while, just to be safe. I shower for longer than usual just to make sure I'm clean of our little experiment, and then collapse on my bed. Class is in 20 minutes, so I can probably afford a nap. That was weird to read.